I never thought I'd be the kind of person to tell about my life, but here I am. My name is Anna, and I'm 32, stuck in a marriage that's been going downhill for longer than I care to admit. Let me tell you about the people in my life, starting with my husband, Michael. Michael was charming when we first met. He had this easy smile and a way of making everyone feel important. But that was before his true colors showed and before his parents, Evelyn and George, became a constant shadow in our lives. Evelyn and George, where do I even start? They're the kind of people who think the world owes them something. They're Michael's parents, and from day one, they've been a thorn in my side. They're the reason Michael and I are on the brink of divorce. Our story starts on a typical evening at our house. Michael had just come home from work, and I was in the kitchen trying to get dinner ready after a long day at my job. "Anna, why isn't dinner ready yet?" Michael's voice was sharp, a tone that had become all too familiar. I sighed, feeling the day's fatigue weigh on me. "I just got home, Michael. It's been a crazy day at work." He rolled his eyes. "Excuses. You know my parents are coming over. They expect a proper meal." Yes, the royal visit. Evelyn and George treated our home like their personal restaurant. They'd come over, criticize my cooking, talk endlessly about their needs and how we should be doing more for them. It was exhausting. Then, as if on cue, the doorbell rang. Michael hurried to open the door, revealing his parents, who barged in as if they owned the place. "Anna, dear, I hope you're making something good tonight." "We're so tired of the same old dishes," Evelyn said, not even bothering with a hello. George chimed in, "Yeah, and make sure there's enough. You always cook so little." I clenched my jaw, trying to keep my cool. "I'm making spaghetti bolognese. It'll be ready in a bit." Evelyn frowned. "Spaghetti? Again? Well, I suppose it'll have to do." The evening went as usual. Evelyn and George complained about everything, the food, their latest neighborhood gossip, and how we weren't living up to their expectations. Michael just nodded along, never once standing up for me. After dinner, while I was cleaning up, Michael confronted me in the kitchen. "You could try being nicer to my parents, Anna. They're just old and set in their ways." I slammed a plate into the dishwasher, my patience wearing thin. "Nicer? Michael, they treat me like a maid, and you just let them. When are you going to realize that your parents are manipulating us?" Michael's face hardened. "They're my parents, Anna. They come first. If you can't understand that, maybe you shouldn't be here." That stung. It was clear where his loyalties lay, and it wasn't with me. That night, as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I knew something had to change. I couldn't keep living like this, in a home where I felt like a stranger, married to a man who put his parents above our marriage. And that's just the beginning of my story. A story of how I found myself trapped in a marriage that was nothing like I had imagined, with a husband who had become a stranger and in-laws who saw me as nothing more than someone to use and belittle. If I thought my marriage with Michael was tough, dealing with his parents, Evelyn and George, was a whole different level of challenging. They had this knack for making everything about them, and they were experts at pushing my buttons. Let me paint a picture of a typical Sunday afternoon. Sundays were family days, as Evelyn liked to call them, which basically meant Michael and I had no say in how we spent our time. This particular Sunday, they showed up unannounced, as usual. I opened the door to find Evelyn standing there with her trademark disapproving look. "Anna, we need to talk about your garden. It's becoming an eyesore," she said, pushing past me into the house. I bristled at her tone. "We've been busy, Evelyn. The garden is not our top priority right now." George followed her in, grumbling, "Busy doing what? You don't even have kids to take care of." Before I could respond, Michael came in from the living room, all smiles. "Mom, Dad, glad you could make it." Anna was just about to start lunch. I shot Michael a look, but he avoided my gaze. Typical. As I got busy in the kitchen, Evelyn and George started in on their usual routine. They complained about their neighbors, the cost of living, and how nobody respected the good old days anymore. Lunch was served, and with it came more complaints. Evelyn to George, "This chicken is dry, Anna. Can't you do anything right?" George to Evelyn, "And these vegetables are overcooked. You'd think someone who works from home could manage a decent meal." I clenched my fists under the table, trying to keep my cool. Michael just kept eating, pretending not to hear. After lunch, the real fun began. Evelyn started with her demands. Evelyn to Anna, "We need you to drive us to the doctor's tomorrow. We can't rely on public transport at our age." I was taken aback. "But I have work meetings all day tomorrow. Can't you take a cab?" George snorted. "Why should we spend money on a cab when we have you?" I looked to Michael for support, but he just shrugged. "You know how they are, Anna. Just do it for peace." I felt my anger rising. Do it for peace? When do my needs get considered in this family? The rest of the day was more of the same. Evelyn needed help with her phone, George wanted advice on his garden, and I was expected to cater to their every whim. That evening, after they finally left, I confronted Michael. Anna to Michael, "Why do you let them walk all over us? Why can't you stand up to them?" Michael was defensive. "They're my parents, Anna. They're old and set in their ways. We just have to deal with it." "But at what cost, Michael? Our happiness? Our marriage?" He didn't have an answer to that. He never did. I went to bed that night feeling alone and unsupported. It was becoming clear that Michael's loyalty to his parents was overshadowing our relationship. And I was starting to wonder if I was fighting a losing battle. Now, let me tell you about how Michael, the once charming man I married, started to change. It was like watching a flower wilt, except it wasn't as pretty. One evening, I came home late from work, tired and hungry. I had texted Michael earlier that I would be late, but when I walked in, what I saw made my blood boil. There was Michael, feet up on the coffee table, watching TV, and the house was a mess. Dirty dishes in the sink, takeout boxes on the counter, you get the picture. "Michael, I thought you were going to clean up today," I asked, trying to keep the frustration out of my voice. He barely glanced at me. "I was busy. Had a tough day. You can clean up, right?" I was stunned. "Busy? Doing what? You've been home all day." Michael turned off the TV and stood up, his face getting red. "You think you're the only one who gets tired? I work hard too, you know." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "But you promised to take care of the house today. And I've been working nonstop." He scoffed. "Oh, please. Your job is a breeze compared to mine. Just clean up and stop complaining." I was so angry I could barely speak. This wasn't the man I married. The man I married would have understood, would have helped. Days turned into weeks, and Michael's attitude only got worse. He started going out with his buddies on Fridays, coming home late, drunk, and expecting me to just deal with it. One Friday night, he stumbled in around 2 a.m., reeking of alcohol. "Where have you been?" I demanded. "Do you have any idea what time it is?" Michael sneered at me. "Out, having fun. Something you wouldn't understand." I was at my wit's end. "Fun? Well, I'm here worrying about you. This isn't what I signed up for, Michael." He just laughed. "What? You want me to stay home and be bored like you? No thanks." I realized then that Michael wasn't the man I fell in love with anymore. He had become someone else, someone who didn't care about our relationship or my feelings. One night, after another argument about his late nights, I tried to talk to him. "Michael, we need to talk about us." About our marriage, I said, my voice shaking. He didn't even look at me. What's there to talk about? If you're unhappy, that's your problem. That hit me like a ton of bricks. My problem? Wasn't this our life, our marriage? I thought we were a team, I said, trying to hold back tears. Michael shrugged. Things change, Anna. Maybe you should too. I went to bed that night feeling more alone than ever. It was clear that Michael's transformation wasn't just a phase, it was a complete shift in who he was. And I was left wondering if there was any of the man I married left in him. They say there's a moment in every troubled story when things reach a climax, and for me, that moment came unexpectedly on a crisp Wednesday evening. I remember walking into the house, the air thick with tension. Michael was sitting at the kitchen table, an unreadable expression on his face. "We need to talk, Anna," he said, not wasting any time. I could feel my heart pounding. "Okay, what's up?" Michael took a deep breath. "I think it's time we face the truth. Our marriage, it's not working. We should get a divorce." His words hit me like a ton of bricks. I knew things were bad, but divorce? That was a big step. "Are you sure? I mean, is this really what you want?" He nodded, his face set. "Yes, it's what I want. It's for the best." Before I could process this, the door swung open, and in walked Evelyn and George, Michael's parents. They had this triumphant look on their faces, like they'd just won the lottery. Evelyn was the first to speak, her voice dripping with faux sympathy. "Oh, Anna, we heard the news. We're so relieved you and Michael are being sensible about this." George chimed in, his tone smug. "Yes, it's for the best. And don't forget the marriage contract you signed. You won't be getting a cent of our son's estate." I was speechless. Not only were they happy about the divorce, but they also had the audacity to remind me of that prenup, the one they had practically forced me to sign before the wedding. I turned to Michael. "So, this is it, then?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Michael finally looked at me. "Yes, Anna, this is it." I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with a deep, aching sadness. It was over. The marriage I had worked so hard for was coming to an end, and his parents couldn't be happier about it. So, in the midst of all this divorce mess, something unbelievable happened. I won the lottery. Yes, you heard that right. Anna, who never won more than $1 on a scratch-off, won $7 million. It happened on a Tuesday. I was at the gas station, just buying a coffee, and on a whim, I bought a lottery ticket. Didn't even think about it until I checked the numbers at home. I remember staring at the ticket, my hands shaking, not believing my eyes. I didn't tell anyone, not even Michael. With the divorce and everything, it seemed like a bad idea. But Michael found out anyway. He stormed into the house one evening, waving a copy of the lottery announcement that had my name on it. "Is this true? Did you win the lottery?" he demanded, his eyes wide with disbelief. I nodded, clutching the winning ticket in my hand. "Yes, I won." Michael's expression changed from shock to something greedy. "We're still married, Anna. That means I'm entitled to half of that money." I couldn't help but laugh, a bitter, humorless sound. "Entitled? Really, Michael? After everything, you think you're entitled to my winnings?" He took a step closer, his voice rising. "Yes, I do. It's only fair. You wouldn't even have bought that ticket if we weren't married." I shook my head, amazed at his audacity. "Fair? You want to talk about fair now? Remember the prenup? The one your parents were so happy about? It says we have no claim to each other's property, remember?" Michael's face turned red, his anger palpable. "That's different. This is different." I stood my ground, holding the ticket tightly. "No, it's not. I won this money, Michael. It's mine. And I'm not giving you a cent. He looked like he was about to explode. You can't do this to me, Anna. It's my right. I felt a surge of strength, a sense of power I hadn't felt in a long time. You're right? No, Michael, it's not. This is where I draw the line. I'm keeping the money. All of it. I put the lottery ticket in my safe, a smile on my face. He stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind him. I stood there, the winning ticket in my hand, feeling like I had just won more than just money. I had won a chance to start over, to be free from Michael and his greedy, overbearing parents. So, after all the tension and drama with Michael and his parents, something utterly absurd happened. I came back from a business trip and found my safe, the one where I'd stored the fake lottery ticket, was gone. I walked into my house and saw the empty space where the safe used to be. Instead of panic or anger, I just started laughing. The whole situation was so ridiculous, so over the top, that I couldn't help it. I was pretty sure Michael and his parents were behind this clumsy heist. I didn't bother calling them. Instead, I started cleaning up, still chuckling to myself. The image of Michael, Evelyn, and George trying to lug that heavy metal safe out of my house was too funny to ignore. And then, the thought of them trying to hack it open, without the keys, was the cherry on top. As I swept up the mess, I imagined their frustration when they'd finally crack it open to find a worthless piece of paper instead of the real lottery ticket. The real ticket, safe and sound in a bank deposit box, was far from their greedy hands. The absurdity of the situation was almost too much. They had stooped breaking into my house, stealing a massive safe, all for nothing. I couldn't decide if it was tragic or hilarious. I sat down on the couch, amidst the disarray of what used to be my living room, still laughing. If they thought they could outsmart me with such a clumsy plan, they were sorely mistaken. I went to bed that night not with worry or fear, but with a smile on my face, thinking about their faces when will they understand their grand theft had been for nothing. It was a small victory, but in the grand scheme of things, it felt huge. So, after discovering my safe was gone and the fake ticket inside it, things took a turn I never expected. I got a call from Michael, and by the tone of his voice, I knew something was up. Anna, you have to help us, he said, sounding desperate. I was confused. Help you? What happened? We're at the police station. They arrested us, he blurted out. I smiled. Arrested? For what? For trying to cash in the lottery ticket. But it's a fake, Anna. It's a fake, he almost shouted into the phone. I couldn't help but laugh. Of course, it's a fake, Michael. Did you really think I'd leave the real ticket in the safe after everything? There was silence on the other end, and then Michael said, You need to come here and tell them it's a misunderstanding. I sighed. Fine, I'll be there soon. At the police station, I saw Michael, Evelyn, and George sitting in a holding area. They looked completely bewildered. As I approached, Evelyn called out, Anna, tell them we didn't steal anything. We thought the ticket was real. I looked at them, feeling a strange mix of triumph and pity. You broke into my house and stole my safe. And now you're surprised you got caught. Michael jumped in. But the ticket was fake. You have to tell them it was a misunderstanding. I shook my head. No, Michael. It wasn't a misunderstanding, you stole my safe and now you're facing the consequences. I turned to the police officer. The ticket in the safe was a copy. I made it to put in a frame. The real ticket is in a safety deposit box. The police officer nearby nodded. We need your statement, ma'am, to confirm the theft. As I gave my statement, recounting how they had stolen the safe with the fake ticket, I felt a sense of closure. It was the end of a chapter in my life, one filled with deceit and manipulation. Leaving the station, I couldn't help but feel a little lighter. Michael and his parents had shown their true colors, and now they were the ones in trouble. It was a fitting end to their greed and deceit. So much has happened, but now, I stand on the brink of a new chapter in my life. With the divorce finalized, I've closed a painful chapter. But there's more. Michael and his parents have been charged with theft. The irony of their situation, given all their greed and manipulation, isn't lost on me. Sitting in my lawyer's office, signing the last of the divorce papers, I couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and anticipation. Mr. Thompson, my lawyer, handed me the final document and gave me a reassuring nod. "Anna, you're officially divorced now. And with the charges against your ex-husband and his parents, they might be looking at real jail time." "How do you feel?" he asked, his voice gentle yet professional. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my words. "Honestly, Mr. Thompson, I feel like I can finally breathe. It's been a long road, but I'm ready to move on." He smiled, understandingly. "Just remember, you have a new life ahead of you. A life with endless possibilities and a substantial lottery win to help you along the way." I smiled back, feeling a sense of empowerment. "Oh, I have plans, Mr. Thompson. Travel, new experiences, and maybe a bit of adventure. It's time I lived life for myself." Stepping out of the office, I felt lighter, like a burden had been lifted off my shoulders. As I walked, I dialed my best friend, Lisa. "Lisa, it's official. I'm divorced, and Michael and his parents, they're facing the consequences of their actions," I said, a small smile on my lips. Lisa's voice was full of support. "Anna, I'm so proud of you. You've come out of this stronger than ever. So, what's next for you?" I gazed down the bustling street, my heart full of hope. "I'm going to travel, see the world. I want to experience everything I've missed out on." "That's amazing, Anna. You deserve every bit of happiness and adventure. And if they get jail time, well, that's just poetic justice," Lisa said, her tone light but sincere. We chatted for a while, making plans, and for the first time in a long while, I felt genuinely excited about the future. As I ended the call, I took a moment to reflect on everything that had happened. The lies, the betrayal, the pain, it was all behind me now. Ahead lay a path of new beginnings, adventures, and the chance to rediscover who I am. I started walking, a spring in my step, ready to embrace whatever came next. This wasn't just an end, it was the start of something new, something beautiful. And as I walked away, I realized this was just the beginning of my story. A story where I was the author, and anything was possible.